Welcome everybody to another episode of the Corvus Create podcast. Um, Back for season 2, I guess is what we're calling it. We've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but for those of you who are just joining, my name is Michael,
And I'm Rachel.
and to kick off this new season, we have Stephen with us. Stephen, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Stephen Bonds, and I uh, I own a company called Bonds Haas Studio, and in which I do a lot of different things under that name. But one of the greatest the things that I love the most is photography. Um, but yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, you've got quite an extensive background. We were reading your biography, and I didn't even realize that you had started technically with graphic design. Is that right? You started out with graphic design, and then but you found that you know, photography spoke to you a little more. But you started with kind of
Yeah,
design on the computer, right?
on a computer. I started with I graduated from BYU as a graphic designer. The first job that I got out of college, um, the manager at the time when I got the job said, "I'm sick and tired of photography. You've had experience. Here you go. Here's the camera." And I had two I had two classes, black and white photography and history of photography, and that was it.
Oh, really?
That was my experience. And
Wow.
so so the rest I found, I learned in the foxhole, if you will, and
Cool.
it's been a lot of fun. And acquired other responsibilities as the years went past. I also I do video, um, and audiovisual as well as photography and graphic design. Did that for a corporation for a number of years, working events and all kinds of stuff, from the actual technical aspect of it to running the event, to just taking pictures and video and covering them and stuff. But as well as product photography, anything they needed,
Yeah.
I uh, I did. So I continued that vein to try to just do whatever people need, and to continue keeping those skills sharp as much as possible. So
I feel very in a very similar situation that you'd have that you had going on, except I started in photography and then I picked everything else up as I went along.
high five.
Yeah, but it's kind of one of those things you have to, you as the years have gone on, you've kinda had to learn to be a jack of all trades almost.
Yeah,
Um
you have to adapt. Actually, one of the things that I distinctly remember in one of my classes, um, one of my professors was saying, that and the design department, I don't know what it's called now, but it was the design department back when I went to BYU. And there were all kinds of design. Photography was under there,
Yeah.
interior design, industrial design, of course, graphic design, and all kinds of things were underneath that umbrella. But one of the things a professor of mine said was, the most important thing is to learn the principles and elements of design. You can go into any aspect of the creative field like that, because everything is based on those principles and that foundation. And I've always remembered that, and that's actually helped me as I've had to jump to other things to realize, it's good design is good design. Form follows function. So you gotta make things function, whether it's on the page or visually or anything like that, and then you design around that. And so it's helped me as I've had to figure other things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot of design, well, at least creative design goes into AV, but
Yeah.
I guess sometimes it does, depending on what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go hand in hand. Yeah.
I think having those creative backgrounds, like, especially when it comes to technology and stuff, you you learn to be a little scrappy and
Yeah.
figure things out with what you got in hand. and
Yes.
think the best of it.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, the studio I started out on in for the company I worked for was a converted kitchen,
Oh,
uh,
Oh, really?
from an old restaurant. We were in an old restaurant in Salem,
Oh, wow.
and, uh, my editing bay was actually underneath an iron or an oven hood. It was still dripping grease from
Oh,
all previous things. So we, you know, and I shot for a while in that little kitchen, then moved to the walk-in freezer. That was my next studio. So
yeah.
you make do with what you got.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, especially for photographers, like when you're trying to be creative and you have to come up with all different types of backgrounds and settings. And I remember doing some like children's toy photography,
Uh-huh.
and I had to be so scrappy and creative with like the toys and the furniture and moving things around. And I had to adapt to, okay, well, if I'm gonna have a 3 or 4 year old running around, I got to make sure like everything's fairly safe, and I need to make sure I have a spot for mom to be you know, on standby just in case anything happens, stuff like that. You have to really be creative with your surroundings and use what you have. And
You do.
I love fantasy photography, and I
Oh,
kind of goes into um what you've done with, because I've seen your photography that you've done for some artists, because you took some reference photos. You've given me some reference photos. Of, some religious scenes, and you've used all kinds of cool, um, like, costumes. You have a ton of costumes, and you've used those for some shoots, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's been that was a very fun those were some fun shoots. I actually, was a model in a couple of those, as well, for the religious, stuff, and, hence the beard and the long hair.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's really neat to capture, and, the most important thing when you're capturing any imagery is what's right inside your camera or inside the frame. Everything else could be a mess or, cars driving by or whatever, but the most important thing is what's exactly in your frame. And that's where actually being a photographer has just been an awesome experience, being able to see the world in a different way. You see compositions everywhere, even in places where it doesn't seem like there should be, but it's like, oh man, this one spot, that light coming in and just the way the angles or the shape the light and shadow is, and
yeah.
you just gain an appreciation for the small things,
Yeah.
and I love that.
I think it was, I was telling her that one time we were in Southern Utah, and we were driving back home from a vacation, and, this was one of the more regrettable moments of my life because I wasn't prepared or expecting anything cool to happen. It was just a drive home, and, so I ended up switching cars, so all my camera gear and everything was in one car, and I was in another, and we're driving home, and I was kind of just you just kinda get into that I'm gonna enjoy the scenery on some of those long drives, and I looked up at the sky, and the clouds were all the same shape, and they were all evenly spaced out, and I'm like, "The
Oh,
sky looks like the Toy Story
Yeah.
wallpaper," and I didn't have my camera on me. I'm like, "I would just take a picture of the clouds we got right now."
that is such a cool phenomenon too. You don't see every day.
No, and but it's like those things is like, even if you don't have a camera and, I had someone tell me, it's like, sometimes you just like, learning photography and design and stuff like that, you learn to appreciate the things that just happen.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether you have a camera or some way of capturing the moment on you, it's like, you have a special ability to notice these things.
Yes, absolutely. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I gonna say? No, I was just so into that moment that I kind of learned like I need to make sure that I keep my camera with me everywhere. And that's kind of, I appreciate how good phone cameras are now. Like some of the cameras on phones are pretty impressive. So even if it's not as good as my, actual DSLR camera, at least I can, take some quick reference photos for my painting.
Yeah.
If I see something really cool, like I at least have my phone to capture something good. But there have been moments where I had regretted not having my big camera on me to
Yeah,
capture.
because when you enlarge those phone images, they just don't look as crisp as when you're using a DSLR.
I don't. So yeah, I need to learn to make sure I have my camera on me more often.
Oh, I try to do that, and, it's funny because for me, it's the same thing. Um, I'm driving around and I see a beautiful image or a location, and I wanna take a picture, and I didn't have my camera, so, yeah, I'll take a picture with my cell phone, but then I'll carry my camera around for a while, and I won't see any of those shots
I know.
until I decide to leave it at home, then I'm like, "Oh, man, there's another one."
Yeah.
So would you say that having that background in design, what kind of things have you taken from your background and that your specialty in design that is translated to photo and video and other projects that you work on?
Um, well, one of them definitely is the law of thirds. I'm always thinking in compositions and where how things are framed in the camera, whether it's video or photography. Um, and then of course form follows function.
Yeah.
It's you want to make sure everything's functional, and then you can go in for the kind of the creative aspect of how you capture that image and that imagery. Um, I have a hard time doing like effects in camera, like special effects in camera, uh, because well, in my black and white photography class, they always said that the magic is in the dark room, and that's what our computers are now. But just taking all of the stuff from graphic design and things that I've learned, I'm always shooting. Whenever I shoot photography, especially for a business, I'm also thinking of, well, I need some white space for some text. you know, let's see, like if I'm,
Yeah.
you know, so like for I don't know, for a wedding announcement or something like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to shoot this with with um, open space or white space on the right side, and then on the left side, maybe it's on top. If they want to put, if they want to put their image at the top, then they don't have to clone or do things like that. They can use it. They can always crop it out. But with
So
the cameras,
you've got those like key things in the back of your head to that it and it becomes more natural, right? The more you
yeah.
do it, like
I
remembering things like that, it just comes naturally the more you practice it, right?
I would say that was one of the hardest parts for me, going from fine art photography where it's like it's all about the subject and you're like trying to fill the frame and use as much space as possible, make sure that the space is used correctly, to going to doing product photography for companies, and you're like, oh, don't fill the frame, like leave a little bit of extra space, because those designers come back, they're like, you left us nothing.
I that's why I love working with the designer that's actually working on the project for that very reason. It's like,
Wow.
where do you need the white space? And white space is relative. White space meaning where do you need extra space for text or for anything that you're doing, or if it's going behind a title or things like that, or how do you want this? Are you going to clip it out of the image so that you can put text running behind it? Whether it's a designer or the video editor,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that I always have in my mind is, well, how is this gonna be most functional for the end product and how they're going to use it?
Yeah.
Because I can shoot pretty pictures all day, but if it's not usable the way it's intended, then, they have to figure out another way or we reshoot one of the 2.
Yeah. It's like I've I got into social media and social media marketing and stuff, and I've had a couple of years of working with designers and product photography, so it's going into it was a little easier. But, when shooting videos and stuff for, especially in that vertical format, I'm all now thinking, I was like, "Am I gonna put text here? Am I gonna put a logo here? What am I gonna put? Is it just gonna be the shot? Do I need to be close? Do I need to be far?" And
Yeah.
so there's, like, certain aspects it's like, "Okay, I need this nice shot, but let's pull it back a bit because I'm gonna put something there," and I'm actually visualizing beforehand
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
having.
Absolutely. Or are you gonna put the sound waveform at the bottom or something that
Yeah, something like that.
anything, or titles or transcription or what depending on how long it or what information it is. Yeah, it's, I love shooting for fun, but even when I do it for fun, I'm still thinking, you know,
What's the
I
end?
gotta give myself some space just in case so I don't have to. Of course, now things are easier with AI, but I don't like using AI if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a tool, but I like making things real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still that aspect of, like, you can tell when something's was thought in the moment and then what was thought post.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, yes. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So right where it's putting there's always those moments, and you can kinda catch them. But yeah.
Yeah, so Stephen, tell us more about what you're doing currently. Like, so you're working for a business doing graphic design. Why don't you dive a little more into that and what you're doing currently?
Okay. Yeah, I guess just a little background, the name of my company is Bonds Haus Studio,
Yeah.
and that is actually a homage to the Bauhaus, which is, a design studio in Germany back in the 19 was it 30s or something? We can correct that. But it was very influential in design, and so that's the name of my company actually is kind of a homage to that, the Bonshaus Studio.
I love that.
And so, yeah, I work, with a few different, companies with product photography.
Mhm.
Also work, with a number of video producers. Um, when I'm not shooting, love being on set and helping however is needed with lighting and other things like that. Um, let's see, I'm doing some podcasts actually, filming some podcasts for Springville City. I'm working with Springville City on a number of their pieces. And let's see what else. Got a couple of well, just a couple of businesses locally. I worked for a network marketing company, so my mind is really um, kind of in that kind of a realm. So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff for. I'm not going to drop lots of names here. I probably shouldn't drop names, but but I've done a lot of work with them because I'm familiar with that culture
Yeah.
and the things that they're looking for, whether it's product or event type photography and things like that. But yeah, I'm yeah, I've actually got a shoot tomorrow with a friend of mine that has a food truck, and so he's just barely starting it up. I'm excited for his food truck. He's going to have some great food, and so I'm going to be shooting some of his stuff for his to market his truck and his business and stuff too. So
I've always thought it was interesting. I never thought like being an artist in school, like it was honestly so easy. You just sit at the desk, work on your art, work on your computer. I honestly was not prepared for how physically demanding like artistic careers can be, right? Like
yeah,
so much you have to set up and you have to make sure, models are good and set like
great.
up and
Yeah,
like it's probably physically demanding, right? Wouldn't you say?
it is. The great thing is you can create from anywhere.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then that means you create from anywhere. So you have to make it a working location wherever you happen to be shooting. If you've got lots of space, if it's outdoors, if you're doing plein air painting, or or if you're doing photography inside a food truck of preparations, you either have lots of space or very little space. You got to be worried about, of course, lighting and how that is, and then if you're shooting video, of course, you've got to be worried about all the sounds around you, and there's nothing that helps you hear the sounds around you than when you're shooting video. You notice
Yeah.
even the smallest.
The worst is when you have a really small time limit. If you have only so much, like, nice daylight, or if you only have a
Yeah,
set that you've rented for a few hours, like, sometimes you have to do things pretty quickly, and it's
absolutely.
so stressful.
I did some branding shoot for another a gal with a business that she's starting down at Utah Lake at sunset, and that is a definite cutoff time.
Yeah.
As that sun's going down, you get the different colors, it's beautiful and all of that, but there comes a time where you cannot shoot anymore. I mean, you could use your flash, but it takes all the beauty out of it,
They always call it the golden hour, but man, that golden hour gets real sour real fast.
Yeah.
it does, so you have
Most
to be real.
stressful hour is what it is.
Yeah, you have to be on your game,
Yeah.
and if you've got a couple locations, they better be fairly close to each other because you never realize how fast the sun goes down until you're trying to
Yeah.
shoot
Especially if you're
something.
Oh, sorry. Especially if you're working with multiple people, you gotta make sure that you get it right so that because everybody's taking time out of their day to come do the shoot and, cut for get everything you need so you don't have to do it again because that's hard.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to do it. Yeah, don't have to come back in 24 hours for the next sunset.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what would you say is your favorite, place to do your shoots and stuff? Like, in the studio, more like on location, but it's kind of it's like a set up location. I would assume kinda like your food truck thing tomorrow is gonna be a little bit more prepared and set up to have you be there. Or do you prefer, like, the run and gun, as I call it, just where it's like, "We need you here to just kinda capture the moment."
Yeah, it's hard to say because I love all of those for different reasons.
Mhm.
Um, the run and gun actually is pretty fun when you're able to capture those moments in time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
Tho
know,
those
all the
candid moments are really nice.
yeah, and all the chaos and all this. That's another thing where being able to see the composition as you're going through life. It's just through all the hustle and bustle of an event and things like that. It's really cool to find those small moments um, that are just that tell a story that are just so impactful, and nobody else sees them because they're all about their whatever they're doing. They're trying to get to the next, whether it's a class or location or anything like that. That's it's pretty neat to be able to capture those moments. It's one of the things that I say a lot is that photography is basically stops time, and it just captures the moment in time, which is really kind of fun. It's really fun to do. But yeah, I love all of them for different reasons. I mean, it's nice to work with product where you can set it, you know exactly how it needs to be, and
You're in
colors.
control.
Oh, there's no talk back.
Yeah.
My personal favorite.
Yes.
We are
Products are awesome, and but I do love working with people.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's neat to capture imagery of them when and be able to show them how you see them. Um, Especially people that don't think much of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good picture, a good photograph of them, or good art, or whatever, just depicting who they really are, um, can do wonders about lifting somebody's self-esteem.
Or yeah.
Yeah, their spirit. When
It's
they
the
really.
best way to show someone how other people actually see them
Yeah.
rather than how they see themselves.
Oh, yeah.
exactly. It's so cool
Yeah.
when you do that, and when you're able to do that, and, some people are never satisfied. It was, a while ago, I took a picture of a bunch of people in this group. It was a group for, it was for people who are in the service industry for, elderly care, like in
Cool.
home cares and elderly, community care and so forth, and I was taking a picture of all the people there, and there was one gal that I thought we got a great photo of her, but she was never satisfied. She's like, "Oh, that's ugly," just
No.
just never saw the beauty that she had,
Yeah.
and I thought they were great photos, but, sometimes it just takes people a while to finally see that how wonderful they truly are,
Yeah.
and how good they are. Um, but I hope that someday she'll see a picture of herself and be happy with it, but I wasn't able to capture it for her.
Well, thanks so much for coming out and or joining us on this podcast and doing this. It was it's good for me to finally meet you
Yeah,
and
nice to meet you as well.
yeah, and get to hear about your story and just kind of it is really comforting to hear that there's other people like me out there that just have to do everything. So and you have to kind of learn how to do everything.
For me too.
Yeah.
Still helpful to talk with people that are going through this because I still struggle. If
Yeah.
that's any consolation to you, I still struggle, so it's very good for me to hear the things that you're going through and things that you've done and because honestly, we can learn from everyone.
Oh,
Everyone has different experiences, and believe me, there's a lot I can learn from you.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. And of course, for everyone who's listening on this podcast, you can find Stephen at what's your socials, any business? What
Uh, Stephen Bonds, StephenBons, um, on Instagram and Facebook. I do have a business Facebook that I need to keep up better. But my website is bondshaus .com. So BONSHAUS and then studio.com.
great. And I'll have all this in the description as well so people can look it up and find all your cool projects.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you everybody so much for listening. And Stephen, thank you for joining us. And we will stay and talk to everyone later.
Yeah. Have a great night. Great day.